There's a whole drama unfolding around Rachel Zegler's latest project that's got everyone talking. What was supposed to be her big comeback film has reportedly shut down mid-production. Not just delayed or rescheduled, but completely halted. While the studio is trying to blame it on scheduling conflicts, industry insiders are painting a very different picture. According to multiple sources close to the production, things had been deteriorating on set for weeks before everything came crashing down. The whispers suggest it wasn't budget issues or technical problems that stopped filming. It was Rachel's behavior. Crew members have been speaking about her alleged attitude problems, uncooperative energy, and one particularly explosive incident that finally pushed the director to pause the entire production. The tension apparently built up gradually. It started with small things: eye rolls during line readings, showing up late with coffee in hand, and seeming dismissive during blocking rehearsals. A lighting technician reportedly said, "It felt like she didn't believe she needed to be there, like she was doing us a favor." When these early red flags weren't addressed, the situation reportedly spiraled into something much more disruptive. Sources claim Rachel began challenging the script itself, allegedly demanding substantial changes, despite the screenplay being finalized. One insider mentioned she seemed to want her character rewritten to better fit her image, rather than serve the story as intended. The breaking point came during what should have been a routine direction session, when the director gave her some basic notes. Apparently just simple adjustments about delivery and timing. Rachel allegedly lost her cool. Eyewitnesses report she raised her voice, accused the director of undermining her talent, and stormed off set while still in costume. Cameras were rolling, extras were watching, and that moment reportedly marked the beginning of the end for the production. The fallout was immediate and widespread. A supporting actor supposedly refused to film their scenes with Rachel without a mediator present. The makeup team allegedly started rotating shifts to avoid her trailer. One assistant bluntly described the atmosphere as toxic, saying Rachel had turned the set into a walking PR nightmare. Meanwhile, Rachel reportedly acted like she was the one being victimized, telling others she felt targeted and disrespected. What makes this situation particularly fascinating is how it mirrors other controversies Rachel has been involved in previously. After her widely criticized comments about Snow White, many were watching this film as her chance at redemption. Instead, the headlines have shifted from Rachel Zegler's big comeback role to Rachel Zegler too difficult to work with. The pattern seems consistent, being perceived as uncoachable, rewriting material mid-production, and having her behavior become the story instead of the actual project. Online reactions were swift and brutal. Social media exploded with memes. Reddit threads went wild, and one particularly harsh post summed up the sentiment: "She's not unlucky, she's just unlikable." This isn't just another celebrity drama, it could have serious career implications. This wasn't some small indie film, but a high-budget studio production meant to rehabilitate her image after previous PR disasters. When a major production halts and you're at the center of the controversy, industry people take notice. Studios, agents, and casting directors start taking notes. As one entertainment attorney put it, "No one wants to insure a lead actor with a meltdown record." Sources say Rachel is already scrambling, reportedly calling in favors, reaching out to publicists to soften the blow, and even contacting journalists she's previously clashed with. Even her fan base seems divided, with some claiming she's being bullied by the media, while others admit they're tired of defending her. What's particularly damaging about Rachel's behavior is that this wasn't even her movie. She was hired to support someone else's vision, not take it over. Yet now, all the attention is focused on her again, for all the wrong reasons. The more she tries to position herself as the victim, the more the public seems to roll their eyes. This isn't just another controversy. It could be the moment her attempted career rehabilitation completely collapsed. Perhaps the most telling part of this entire situation is the deafening silence from Hollywood. When drama like this erupts, you'd expect someone from Rachel's professional circle to speak up in her defense: a co-star, a previous director, anyone. Instead, there's been an eerie, calculated silence that speaks volumes. Not even a vague, supportive Instagram story or a generic "I've worked with Rachel and she's amazing" tweet. This kind of industry-wide quiet isn't accidental. Even people who used to name drop her at premieres are now noticeably absent. When several A-listers who've worked with her were asked about the situation in recent interviews, they either changed the subject or gave hollow responses that practically screamed, "I want no part of this." Perhaps most damning is the studio's own response, or lack thereof. There's been no strong statement defending their star, just dry procedural language about production adjustments and a continued commitment to excellence. The ripple effects are already being felt. One source claims that a rising actress attached to a future project with Rachel backed out, citing creative differences. Hollywood speak for, "I saw the headlines and I'm not signing up for that drama." Others have reportedly asked their agents not to pair them with her in upcoming casting calls. Even journalists who once praised her are now revisiting old interviews, finding quotes that once seemed quirky but now read as entitled. After remaining quiet initially, Rachel eventually responded, but not in the measured, reflective way most PR teams would advise. Instead, she launched into an impromptu Instagram live rant that only escalated the situation. Dressed in a hoodie and dripping with sarcasm and defiance, she made comments like, "Everyone's just ignoring my phone calls. Whatever, it's chill. I don't even care." Complete with eye rolls, her tone shocked viewers. Comments flooded in, questioning why she was mocking the situation and acting like the victim. She didn't stop there. Mid-rant, she casually mentioned she'd be appearing on a talk show that night to discuss them, smirking as if threatening the production. She followed this with TikTok clips where she sarcastically referenced her dual role in the film, saying, "There's two of me. Double the trouble. Am I right?" The timing couldn't have been worse, especially with rumors swirling that she was the primary source of problems on set. Even her most loyal defenders began to struggle, with one fan commenting, "I want to like her, but she makes it so hard." This social media meltdown reportedly happened against her team's advice. Sources claim her representatives had drafted her team had reportedly drafted a formal apology and a strategy to shift the narrative, but Rachel refused, allegedly saying she was done playing nice. That decision may have serious consequences beyond bad PR. Insiders say the studio's legal team immediately got involved after her posts, reviewing whether she had violated confidentiality and non-disparagement clauses in her contract. The studio reportedly began documenting everything: time-stamped social media posts, internal communications, and interviews with cast and crew who felt undermined. One assistant allegedly reported feeling genuinely unsafe when Rachel yelled during a blocked scene. At this point, it's not just about her reputation, it's potential legal exposure. Rachel's own legal team reportedly advised her to go silent. Again, but by then, the damage had already been done. Online backlash intensified. Hashtags like #replace Zegler began trending, and fan edits surfaced, replacing her with other actresses. Throughout it all, the studio maintained complete silence. A dubious sign that often points to behind-the-scenes legal negotiations. A source close to an executive producer revealed, "This has become a containment situation. It's not about finishing the movie anymore, it's about making sure it doesn't bankrupt anyone. Insurance providers can refuse to cover losses." Related to talent disruptions, meaning Rachel's outbursts could potentially cost millions. Rumors suggest the studio is drafting a legal separation clause that would allow them to terminate her contract and restructure the film without requiring a full reshoot. Meanwhile, the industry-wide implications continue to ripple outward. PR. Teams at several agencies have reportedly flagged Rachel as high risk. Talent managers are allegedly warning clients not to be photographed with her. A major brand that had lined her up for a campaign has quietly removed her from all promotional materials. No announcement, just gone. But beyond Rachel's individual career troubles, the situation has sparked broader industry conversations about managing young talent, especially those with large social media followings. One insider bluntly stated, "She's a walking HR risk. The red flags were always there, we just ignored them because the hype was too loud." Beyond the immediate fallout from Rachel's behavior, a more significant industry shift may be underway. What began as one actress's meltdown has evolved into a cautionary tale, prompting studios to rethink how they handle young, outspoken talent in the age of digital visibility and real-time audience feedback. A casting director reportedly told a trade magazine off the record that Rachel's situation has actually set back progress for young actresses who genuinely want to use their platforms for meaningful change. She made activism look bratty, the source said, suggesting her actions could damage the credibility of others approaching advocacy with responsibility and sincerity. The ripple effects are already visible. Studios are reportedly inserting new behavioral clauses into contracts, especially for actors under 30 with substantial social media followings. These clauses essentially say, express yourself if you want, but don't drag us down with you. No more unfiltered Instagrammed live sessions. No more red carpet speeches that overshadow the actual project. Rachel might have branded herself as authentic, but to executives, that approach is increasingly viewed as a liability, not an asset. And it's not just Rachel feeling the impact. Other outspoken Gen Z stars are reportedly being reevaluated behind closed doors. Studio executives are revisiting past statements, identifying media training gaps, and assessing general communication styles. The questions being asked now are far more critical. Can this person handle press effectively? Will they keep on set? Issues private? Will they promote the film or turn every interview into a controversy? Rachel's situation has made one thing clear. Viral doesn't always mean valuable. Even talent representatives are adjusting their strategies. One young actress with similarly activist leanings was allegedly advised by her team to chill out online for 6 months while they lock in her next project. Another was reportedly told to delete a tweet thread criticizing studio executives right after signing a multi-picture deal. For years, the industry pushed for authenticity, eager to connect with younger audiences by casting bold, outspoken talent. But now, some are questioning whether that authenticity has gone too far, whether being too real is creating more problems than benefits. Rachel's downfall is playing out in real time, and it's making everyone nervous about the next rising star waiting in the wings. When a promising performer becomes a liability, studios don't gamble, they retreat. At this point, the question isn't just whether Rachel can recover, the real question is, does Hollywood even want her back? Come back. Stories are common in entertainment. We've seen celebrities fall harder and rise higher. But those comebacks usually require someone influential in your corner, a mentor, a fiercely loyal fan base, or a studio willing to take a risk. With Rachel, there's mostly silence. The very people who once championed Rachel are now distancing themselves, as if avoiding legal fallout by association. Industry analysts are already calling her situation a reverse Cinderella story, plucked from obscurity, handed a platform, only to watch it all vanish by midnight. But instead of losing a glass slipper, she lost her audience. The same public that once hailed her as the next big thing now uses her name as a punchline. In an era where public perception is currency, this kind of reputational damage doesn't fade easily. And perhaps the most tragic element of it all is that Rachel doesn't seem to fully grasp the gravity of her situation. Her recent social media behavior, a mix of sarcasm, deflection, and self-pity, suggests defiance, not reflection. She's doubling down even as support erodes. When an actress continues to seek sympathy while the industry quietly moves on, she's not setting the stage for a redemption arc. She's cementing herself as a cautionary tale. Hollywood, for its part, is already drawing lessons. Studios are writing new rules and building a new template for young stars, one that Rachel no longer fits. While she may eventually land another role or sit for a carefully orchestrated interview claiming growth and introspection, the harder truth remains. The industry has, for the most part, already moved on. Yes, headlines may still feature her name, but the spotlight? It's turning elsewhere. That buzzy rom-com she was attached to, the one with the A-list ensemble cast. It's reportedly already recasting her role. The official statement will cite scheduling conflicts, but insiders confirm it's a strategic retreat, a quiet way to sever ties without stirring more controversy. Rachel's downfall raises bigger questions about fame, social media, and the evolving dynamic between studios and talent in the digital age. When stars have unfiltered access to millions of followers, traditional PR filters vanish. Sometimes that's empowering, but in Rachel's case, it exposed how quickly an unguarded voice can undo years of work. The industry is watching. It's taking notes, and it's already making changes to prevent the next Rachel situation. So the question lingers, can Rachel Zegler truly bounce back from this cascade of controversies? Or has Hollywood quietly closed the door without her even realizing it? The coming months will reveal whether this was merely a stumble in a long career or the defining moment that altered her trajectory forever. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain. Her story has already changed how the industry approaches young talent, leaving a lasting impact on the next generation.